Alright, good evening everybody. Thanks for joining me for another hopefully successful hardware session. I've been fiddling around with the audio a bit, so I hope this is better than it was last time. Please let me know if you can hear me properly and if the music isn't too loud. Great. Thanks, Raz. Good to see you. And Strider. Good to have you here. Tonight I am going to try and build a Super Socket 7 system, which is well, system that ran most of the Pentium processors, but also some AMDs and Cyrix CPUs. Super Socket 7 indeed. It's not just a Socket 7, it's a Super Socket 7. And I have several CPUs to test it with. I've got a little bank of memory, and eventually, when everything turns out working, I want to install DOS and Windows 98 on it, but we'll see how far we get tonight. Initially, I'm going to try to test some stuff on the bench here. Later, when everything proves to be working, I will be putting it into a case, hopefully. So first off, let's start by figuring out which of the CPUs I'm going to use at first. I think I'll start low and maybe when everything is working, we'll up the ante a bit. Let me show you what I have. These things are terribly hard to read, but this one is a, please focus, is a Pentium 133. I think this one is another Pentium 133. Go. I can actually read it better when I watch the camera feed on my screen. We have a Pentium 166 with MMX technology. Another Pentium with MMX, but I am not sure. Well, light is bad. Not sure about the speed on that one. Maybe the back side will give us more information. I think it's a 200, but I can't be for sure. I have this IBM 686 MX PR300, which is actually a Cyrix processor, but IBM branded it. There you can see it, Cyrix. And I've got this one, which is, not sure if it's readable there, an AMD K6-2 350 megahertz. There's this little bank of 128 megabytes PC133 SD RAM. Let's take a closer look at the motherboard. It's a small form factor motherboard, which also happened back in those days, but it has both an ATX and an AT power supply connector, which is pretty interesting, and it has DIMM and SIM and DIMM slots for the memory. I'll only be using one of the SIM slots this time. It has onboard connectors for all the peripherals we need and the hard drives, which I won't be using, but we'll talk about that later. It has an HP slot, 3 PCI slots and 3 ISA slots, which is sufficient for what we will be using today. And a lot of jumpers, not so many jumpers as the last motherboard, which is good. Or as the last motherboard, as the motherboard I wanted to use tonight. Actually tonight I wanted to make a 486 system, but it turns out the motherboard I had didn't support the CPU I wanted to run it with eventually, so I had to order a new one. Well, an old one, but another one, so we can actually get to use it later on in hopefully another stream. This is going to be the video processing power for the system. It's a Tseng Labs ET6000, one of the best 2D VGA cards around in that era. But the real fun stuff begins here. This is one of my treasures. It's a 12 megabyte Voodoo2 card. It should provide us with ample 3D power and the very nice 3DFX Glide technology. And this will be providing us with the sound. Hopefully, this is a Sound Blaster Pro 2.0 ISA card with a real Yamaha OPL3 chip which was well, what you needed to have back in the days. As you can see, I still have the original booklets and the driver discs for the Sound Blaster. I hope they still work. I haven't tested them yet, so we'll see that later on. I'll be moving these aside for now. We have this AT power supply. The High Screen was a proper brand back in the day. It has a lot of values on there. Some of those are very important for a system like this, especially the plus 5 and plus 12 volt, and the minus 5 volt should also be present, otherwise your ISA cards won't run. Funny thing about AT power supplies is that they always had a hardware power button. The power button was wired directly into the PSU. ATX systems don't have that. They have a soft power button, so to say. You can't turn an AT power supply off by telling the PC to shut down like you can nowadays. When I tell Windows to shut down, it just shuts down. It sends a signal to the power supply and it can shut down. But the AT power supplies didn't do that yet. We've got the not quite original MS-DOS 6.22 diskettes. I actually bought a box of diskettes for these streams. We've got a, let's do it the right way around, 52-speed CD-ROM drive. Of course, floppy drive shouldn't be missing. And this is something that isn't really period correct. This is a compact flash to IDE adapter, which is a lot easier and more fun to work with and than a regular old hard drive, of which a lot of them haven't survived. So it's really hard to find a proper working hard drive, and well, hard drives back in the days were pretty slow. So I hope this makes it a lot easier to work with. Well, first things first, we'll need to figure out what speeds to, what jumpers to set for the processor. I'll be moving some stuff to the side for now. Luckily, most of the manuals have been preserved, so I can actually figure out how to set the jumpers. I was considering putting the manual on screen, but I think the image is actually a lot better. So I'll keep it at this for now. Let's see what this manual says. We have a lot of jumpers, but there's also some dip switches on the motherboard. I wonder what these are for. You can see them right up there. I think they are for memory speed. No, luckily it isn't left blank, Strider. It's all in there. If you want to read along, I can I'll toss the link in the chat. There's a couple of great sites around DOS days and Vogons, which provide a lot of information for old hardware. Okay, first thing I want to set is the CPU voltage select auto. I don't want to fiddle around with CPU voltage, so let's see if we can locate jumper number 4, JP4. It should be right above the socket if we turn it this way around. That's interesting. I can't really find the jumper there. So this maybe is a little bit of a different layout. There's jumper 5 or 9. So you can read it better like this. That's 9. Well, this is fun. Let's see if I actually... Yeah, I should have the right manual. And I should have prepared this better. Let's see if we can locate jumper number 4. This one is jumper 30. Let's take a look at the manual again. So a lot of the other jumpers are actually there, but I can't figure out where jumper 4 is supposed to be. It's not a new revision. It's supposed to be right there. Well, let's skip this one for now. Jumper 5 is the CMOS reset. I thought I just found number 5. Yeah, that's the one. Normal operation should be 1 and 2 closed, and it is on 1 and 2. You can hopefully see it. This is the 1. And there's 1 is on the left, 3 is on the right, so 1 and 2 closed means the jumper on the left, and 2 and 3 closed means the jumper on the right. I hope everybody that is here actually knows what jumpers are. Let me pull this one off real quick. Actually plastic caps with connectors inside. Yeah, like this. That short specific connections. Nowadays in modern motherboards, pretty much everything is auto-selected or configurable in the via software in the BIOS, but or the UEFI. But jumpers, yeah, you Brits do, Raz, but we Dutchies don't know jumpers like that. Let's see about the CPU setting. We want 133 megahertz for the CPU. Megahertz, yeah, not gigahertz, but megahertz, you heard it correctly. Oh, great. This is using the dip switch actually. Switch 1. That is the switch next to the memory modules. There's actually switch 1 should be on, 2 off, 3 off, 4 off, 5 off, and 6 off. At least they're numbered properly, so you can see 1 through 6. On is to the top side. Let's see that I don't fat finger any of them. Excuse me for hitting the cam there. 1 is on. And the rest of them is off. So that should sort the CPU right out. Let's toss one of these in. As you can see, the bracket has one specific angle. If you look at the CPU, it also has the same corner where the pins are missing or omitted actually. So you can fit it right in, put it in, snap it shut. Even with CPUs this age, you do want to use a cooler and cooling paste. So let's use some Arctic MX4. Put on a little bit, we don't need all that much for just our testing. Put on a little cross. See if we can get the cooler mounted. Where is the... There is the plug for the fan. I'm going to sit down for it so I can actually see what I'm doing. Excuse the hair in picture. There, that one is on. And for this one, we actually need a screwdriver to be able to put enough force on it. There we go. Let's connect the cooler. Excuse me. And let's put in the RAM, see if we can get it working. To test it, well, of course we'll need some power, and I'll need to hook up the video source so I can actually see if we get any picture. So we'll hook up the Labs card, put it in. I'll move it to the bottom of the disk. See about moving the camera just a little bit so you can see what's going on there. There we go. Put this one in. Well, I'm moving it to the end of the desk because it has a protruding edge, which you don't want leaning on the desk. There you go. That's one. What else do we need? We need the power supply, of course. And we'll need some form of video. Let's hook up the power supply. As I said, the motherboard also both has AT and ATX power connector, which is very versatile for its time. You can easily connect these power supplies the wrong way. When you connect AT power supplies, power connectors, you also always need to make sure the black wires are together in the center. Let me see if we can do this. Old hardware like this often sounds like you're breaking stuff when you're actually connecting it properly. So that's the power sorted. Let's get the screen on the table so we can see what's happening. Let me move these guys. Go. Let's hook up the VGA cable. I'm still looking for a proper, affordable way to capture VGA signal. Most of the affordable options don't support the older DOS resolutions, so yeah. That's kind of tricky. Let's hook up the power cable and see if things don't explode. Here we go. The moment of truth. Well, the fan powers up. don't have a speaker connected, so I'm not quite sure if things are happening. Let's wait for just a bit. Let's think about whether I have a separate speaker I can connect. I don't think that I do. This isn't doing much. And I haven't tested the processor yet, so it could be that one. It could also be a BIOS setting that prevents the PCI card from working. Yeah, beeps aren't happening because there's no speaker yet. We could always figure out. The memory module is tested, so that's the VGA card as well. I have tested both of them, so I know they both work. But the motherboard, well, no, I've tested the motherboard as well. So it could very well be the processor. Let's power down and see what we can figure out. Let's remove this one, so we don't have any power going on. First things first, let's see about resetting the BIOS. I could do it this way or remove the battery from that's not it. Let's see if we can source a form of speaker so we can actually hear what's going on. I know there's a working speaker in the case. I've also tested that one before, but I'm not sure how I'm going to hook it up. I think I need to clear the desk for a bit so I can put the case next to it. Let's move you over that way a little bit. Let's put you aside. I'm not sure what you mean, Strider. Which jumper? Oh, you mean put the BIOS reset jumper back? PCI voltage. Well, that's an interesting one. Which is the one? I see a dim voltage. CPU voltage. Oh wait. The host bus, you mean? Jumper 7 and 8. There's also a jumper for the powers connector selection. Maybe we'll need to put that one in the right one as well. Or I can just hook up an ATX power supply, that would work as well. But let's see if we can get this one working. Jumper 2 and jumper 6, which are right next to the CPU. And just above the top ISA, well, there's no jumper there either. Fun, these manuals. So my take would be it auto selects based on the connected. Power supply, power connector, and there's also jumper 7 and jumper 8, which should be, let me look up. Should be where exactly? Should be right around the Soyo chip, but they aren't there either. Well, these manuals are a lot of fun. Wait, I see jumper 7, but I don't see jumper 8. Jumper 7 is there. It's that one. But jumper 8 should be right there, which it isn't. Jumper 7 is on pins 1 and 2, which means it's on 60, no, it's on 100 MHz frontside bus, and for this processor it should be on 66 SI, if I recall correctly. Yeah. Let's try moving that one. And let's also hook up the speaker so you can actually hear what's going on. This beauty is the case I want to put the whole system in eventually. Nice, the CPU mounting bracket just fell off, which is fine. Let's see if we can find that speaker. Yeah, it's this one. Speaker one is always the widest one, 4-pin one. Now let's see if we can find the connector for the speaker. It should be this group of connectors here, but let me see if I can actually read it. It's the only set of connectors I can find, but CPU clock selection should be right, but there's, I saw there was 2 options for the 133, and I might have actually selected AMD 133 instead of Intel, but it's the same one, so that's okay. The settings are the switch settings are the same at least. There's also CPU burst mode, you say. That one. Jumper 22 is right underneath that. It's that one right over there. Honestly, I don't really know what CPU burst mode select interleave means. Let's look it up real quick. So we have interleave or linear. Actually means the way it accesses the memory. But it should not matter for system working or not. Speaker should be J25F. That is that. Nice. It's going to be tough to read. Zoom in a little bit on the thing. It should be this row, but then right next to the J25E, which is the power LED, and power LED should be a 2-pin one, so I'm guessing this one should hook up to the next 3 pins, but that won't work. Let me look at the power LED real quick. Power LED is a 3-pin one actually. Power LED should go in there, and then the speaker should go in there. Let's see what happens. See if we have a power LED and a speaker. If I got this thing the right way around. We do have a power LED. Listen for the beeps. No, we don't need to listen for the beeps because we've got something on screen. Success! It found the CPU. Memory is okay. Great! Let's hook up a keyboard real quick to see what's what in the BIOS. I'll remove the tower real quick so we actually have some room on the desk. No, thanks Strider for pointing out. Lovely Microsoft, I think it's called a Microsoft Natural keyboard. It's not really an old keyboard, it's actually has a PS2 connector, but I've got this nice PS2 to DIN adapter, which works wonders for stuff like this. Let's try that again. Let's look at our fancy little BIOS. There's nothing to do here. We're a year ahead of the Millennium bug, it seems. There's no drives detected, so that won't work. What options do we have? Do we have anything interesting to play around with? Well, not right now, but it actually detected the SD-ROM. It has on-chip USB, but there's no ports for it. But does it have USB connectors? It does actually, that is fun. Nice, Strider. Kingston used to make a lot of great stuff. I think this is a Hyundai module. It feels really weird looking at my OBS screen instead of at the screen. There's a little delay. Oh, I don't really miss this. IRQ and DMA assignments. Fun fact for those of you that didn't consciously we got these PC developments, but back in the days you had to manually occasionally assign IRQs. I think interrupt requests queries, not sure, and DMA direct memory addresses to all your peripheral cards, so like video cards, sound cards. Each one need to have one or more IRQs and DMAs assigned to them, so you were limited by the available amount of IRQ and DMA options. As you can see, there were only 8 DMA addresses, but some of them were actually used, 2 and 4, by system devices, like on-chip IDE controllers, that kind of stuff. Yes. 2 IDE channels on board. Everything is auto-detecting. Display first on PCI or probably HTTP. Yeah, no, we'll find this on PCI. So you can see there's IRQs assigned to several devices already. Okay, well, so much for this. Let's see if we can get the other processors running as well. Let's save and shut you down for now. Pull the power. Always pull the power before you work on a system. Let's remove the card so I can have proper access to the processor. I'll clean the CPUs later. I don't want to do that right now on stream. let's see if we can remove this units. Removing them was, I wanted to say harder than getting them on, but it actually wasn't so bad this time. Sticky stuff. Actually pull off really sticky stuff. Okay, what I forgot is that I actually need something to clean off the cooler with at least. Then again, if I just put on a little less paste, it should be fine for now. It doesn't dry up that quickly. Let's remove the CPU. And let's put it on the working pile. Yo, RT. Yeah. You wouldn't be able to cool one of your memory chips with it, probably. Well, at least it slides right in. That means none of the pins are bent. I didn't check that. Let's put on a little bit of cooling paste. It's not like we're taxing the processor really hard. So it should be fine. With just a little bit. As long as it connects to the cooler. Yeah, other than the evolution of the actual hardware, it's fun to see evolution of coolers and stuff. I used to have, but I sold that a long time ago, one of those insane, I think it was a Zalman or Cooler Master V8 coolers, which were well, actually kind of looking like a V8 car engine. They should be the same processor, so it should run just fine. Which I probably just jinxed right now. Fingers crossed and hope for the best, I guess. Here we go. Oh, what do you know? It's working. Two down, 4 to go. Yeah, it is the exact same model of CPU I ran just before this one, so wasn't all that much to change for it. Let's pull this one. Always scary to do this, because you don't want to slip with a screwdriver. I keep pulling. Oh shit, that's not what you want to have happen. I just pulled the CPU out of the socket while it was fixed, and now we're stuck just a little bit. This cooling paste is very sticky. Yeah, just like that with my my RTX 4080. It needs a sag support, because otherwise it's really going to fall off or break something. I don't want to break my PCIe slot, or the 4080 actually. Let me take a quick sip. Nice strider. Well, next victim is our Pentium 166 MMX. So we need to change something on the dip switch for that. It slides straight in with a little crunch. Should be fine, I hope. Let's see, the 166. Let's make sure we select the Intel and not the AMD. The Intel 166 should be at 66 MHz as well, so that's fine. 2.5 times multiplier, which is all automatic. Switch 1 should be on, switch 2 should be on, and the rest should be off. So only need to flip switch 2. It's a bit easier than with my big fingers. Actually, I got a lot of fun stuff coming in for my 4086. Got a DX4 100, a nice motherboard, which should allow me to build the proper 486 system I wanted to build today actually, but as I said, the motherboard I have doesn't support the CPU I wanted to use in there. That's a voltage thing. Back then CPUs actually ran on different voltages. CPUs for the same socket. Right now, nowadays it's all auto select. So the only times you have to change the voltage if you want to undervolt or overclock your system. But back then it's actually important. You don't want to put a 3.3 volt CPU in a 5 volt socket. That was scary. Slipped for a bit there. Some people say you can actually test the CPUs without a cooler, but I don't want to risk it. So I'll keep the cooler on every time. Let's see if it did what we hope. Doesn't seem like it's doing much. Let's shut it down and see if there's anything else I missed. I actually have a jumper for CPU voltage, but I don't think we need to change that around. If that jumper is actually present for change. That one is. That's this one right here. It is currently on. Yeah, I don't want to risk it, Raz. Should be fine, but probably should have read the image on the processor a little bit better, because it might actually state what voltage it requires. And since it's an MMX processor, it might actually require a different voltage than the 133. It supposedly runs on 2.8 volts, Let's see what that 133 runs on. Well, that one runs on 3.3 volts, so that might actually be a thingy. Let's see if we can figure out what the voltage jumper is set to. Pins 1 and 2, 9 and 10 should be 3.3 volts. It doesn't look like 1 and 2, 9 and 10 are. It has 1, 2, 3. It has 12 pins. But let's see if we can figure out which ones are which. Let's not put you on the. Actually, to use the camera because it works better than using my own eyes right now. Crap. Let's see how if we can get this to work. Yeah, no, won't be reading it like that. Let's get you out of the way. That is jumper 30, but I think it says an L11 there on the bottom. Bottom right? Right? Let me grab my phone's macro cam real quick. Yeah, it says 1 on the bottom left, 11 on the bottom right. And I don't think they started at 0. I don't see any mention of pin 0. So it should be 1 from left to right, top to bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So right now 3 and 4 are closed, and 10 and 12. Which means great, that isn't an option. I'm guessing it's just 3 and 4 closed, which means it's set to 2.2 volts. Because it's always just vertically, it would seem. It's always 3 and 4, 7 and 8, 5 and 6. So I'm guessing that one isn't closed. What did we need for this processor? 2.8 volts. 2.8 volts is 1 and 2 and 11 and 12. Let's just try that. See if that makes any difference. Don't drop it, you idiot. And 12, right. Should be like that. Let's hook everything up again and hope we didn't fry the processor with our 3.3 volts. It's not very warm, so I think we should be okay. And if not, I've got plenty more processors to play around with. Let's not forget to hook the cooler. Here we go. Well, I think we'll call this one fried for now. I'll check it out later. Let's move on. And let's make sure to change the voltage before we fire it up next time. Cables everywhere. What's up, Australia? Oh, never mind. Let's try not to pull the processor out this time. Damn, this stuff is sticky. There we go. You are going on the dead for now pile. Next up, a processor which either has its ceramic cover removed or just like this. It's a Pentium 200 MMX. It also runs at 2.8 volts, so shouldn't need to change the voltage. 3.6, you say? Okay. I just looked it up and it said. Is that the MMX or the M1? This is what I found. Yeah, 2.8 should be right in the middle, right? This one was also 2.8, but we need to change the dip switch to 200 megahertz. Yeah. And the board should have some sort of auto voltage, but it's on a jumper I can't find, which is jumper number 4. Which supposedly sits right there, which isn't the jumper in my book. Well, it might be some sort of auto regulator for the VRM. I think we'll just keep changing the voltages manually. But we have this Pentium 200 MMX. Let's see. Intel 200. Intel MMX. 200, clock speed 66, multiplier 3 times, switch 1 off, switch 2 on, and 3, 4, 5 and 6 are off. So I only need to turn off switch 1. Some more cooling paste, sticky goo. I prepared a lot of little factoids, but last stream I noticed trying to read them only made me sound like I was really reading them from paper or something, so I'm not using that. Let's hook up the cooler again. Let's see if we can get this one to work for us. Fingers crossed. Here we go. Hey, another one is alive. Yeah, I wish there were beeps, but no beeps for you, Strider. Next time we'll have beeps, I promise. Well, 3 out of 4 so far, not too bad. It's better than Meatloaf's results, right? That was a Meatloaf song, right? 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Yeah, nice. Love those home computing crunching projects. Got them burning day and night, I guess. This one is a bit smaller surface area, so it comes off easier. So much for the intels. Now let's move on to a little bit more exotic territory. Let's go with the IBM/Cyberx first, because I want to use the AMD for the actual system. We're going to build well, time flies. It's good to see we're an hour in already. Slides right in as well. Let's look at it before we actually. Yeah, someone scratched it so bad I can't really read the vCore requirements. Maybe it's on the back. No, it's not. Let's see what the retro web has to say about this one. You can go back in, please. Thank you. Sure. Go ahead, mate. See you later. Thanks for dropping by. Cyberx 686, 6x86. MX PR300. CPU worlds. Hey Link. I don't think it will actually run Crysis, but we'll see. Let's see if I can find it. BR300, where are you, mate? There's actually two of them, so that's fun. Both of them are 2.9 V-core, but they've actually got a different base clock setting, so let's see if we can still read what it says under the scratch. I think those are two 6s, so it is a 66 megahertz base clock, which is good because it's already on 66 megahertz. So we've got the 66 variant. It should be on 3.5 times 66, which, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't make 300, but that's a funny thing about these Cyrix is they actually said they were faster than they actually were. So this one is actually running at 231 megahertz instead of the claimed 300. Later AMD processors also did this. You had the XP, AMD XP processors, which set something like 2000 plus or something, and they were actually running at a lower clock speed. So let's see. Cyrix. Do we have a Cyrix options? We do have Cyrix options, but it's not. There isn't a 300 in there. It only goes up to the 266. But, well, this one should run at... You should be able to clock them at lower speeds, so I can try to run it at 233 megahertz instead. So we'll use those settings at first, which is switch 1 off, switch 2 on, 3 off, 4 on. So only 2 and 4 are on. 2 is already on. Let's turn 4 on as well. These CPUs were notoriously hot, so better make sure they're cooled properly, even when testing. See about getting the gunk off later, or in case of dead CPUs, not. There we go. We need to figure out the voltage as well. It's running at 2.9 volts, which means pins 1 and 2 and 5 and 6 should be closed instead of 11 and 12. Okay, let's put the video card back in. Hook the power supply on and hopefully not blow things up. Here we go. Doesn't seem like it's booting. correct. Settings should be correct. Maybe it just doesn't want to run at these speeds. Let me feel real quick if it's getting very hot. No, it's not. That's not the issue at hand. Let's try clocking it down a bit more. Put it at 200 MHz instead. Should be 1, 2 and 4 should be on. And if not, we'll just call it dead for now and move on. Here we go. I guess it doesn't want to cooperate right now. Let's pull it out and move to our final candidate. I'm really interested in that one because that was the CPU I received alongside this board, but it's supposedly a 350 MHz CPU, but the board also doesn't, the manual doesn't appear to support it. This is the K62 350 2.2 volt V-core. Good to keep that in mind. Let's fix that first before we do anything else. 2.2 volts should be pins 3 and 4 closed. That should be the setting it was in before I started fiddling with it. Closed. Let's put you on like that so you don't close anything. Let's look up the CPU real quick. This is fun stuff as well. This CPU run at typical 12 watts and a max power dissipation of 20 watts. It should be running at 100 MHz bus speed and 3.5 multiplier. I don't think the board allows for that. See if we can figure out the jumper settings for that then. I've got a max option of 250 MHz for the K62, which is jumpers 1 of the switches 1, 2 and 6 should be on. If we can get it running at 250, we'll see about upping the speed later, because the board does allow for a 100 MHz and it does allow for 3.5 times multiplier, so it should technically be able to run at 350, but we'll see about getting there once we have the thing up and running. If we get the thing up and running. Let's hook everything back up. Touch the power again. And is there anything I should be worried about? Yeah, I should be checking out jumper 7 and 8 for the CPU host bus, because it's no longer at 66 megahertz but at 100 megahertz, so we should find jumper 7 again. Let's remove the power for now. Where was jumper 7? Jumper 7 was right below that chip. This is jumper 7. It should be at pins 1 and 2 should be closed. Let's check out the rest so that I don't forget anything. Should be fine. Let's see what happens. I have booted this thing before, once it came in, so let's hope it still works. There we go. As you can see, it's running at 250. So let's see if we can figure out a way to make it run at 350 actually, because the board should support that. Let's go do some googlies. I should be able to. Let's see. Okay, 62350. It should be off, on. Only switch 6 should be on. But it might require a BIOS flash, which I do not intend to do on stream, so if it doesn't work, we'll just put it back and run with 250 at first. Here we go. There we go. It actually works. What do you know? Running at 350. Memories found. We've got picture. So I'm going to take a short little break, and after that we'll start building this system into the case. Let's see how much time we have left, and we'll fix that menacing disk boot failure. So let's shut it down for now, and I'll be going for a small short drink and bio break. I'll see you guys in a bit, hopefully. I will be right back. Alright, it's time to see how far we can get with this build. Let's head back over to the normal scene and pull this machine apart. Well, mostly. I will leave the motherboard and the CPU and memory intact. Grab the case to start putting it all together into the case. Let me close the door real quick before I wake the kids. We don't want that. Some of these parts are actually quite treasured possessions, like that. Thanks, Res. Thanks for sticking around. Right. The Voodoo2 and the Sang Labs ET6000 and the Sound Blaster Pro 2.0 are actually quite desired cards these days. So I'm trying to be really careful with them. If I keep enjoying this, and there's actually a couple of people watching, I've got a lot more in the works to actually build in these streams. First there's this, then there's the 486 system, there's a Pentium 3 system I want to build, for which I have all the parts I need. And there's an AMD Athlon XP system I've got all the parts ready for. And eventually but I'll need more cases. I want to build, and I'll show you if I can quickly find the motherboard in question. Where did I put it? Here it is. I will want to build this system, which is a dual Pentium 3 PC. As you can see, there's one and there's the other, which is actually a server board or workstation board, but we should be able to turn it into a gaming machine as well. Really both looking forward and dreading that build, because it's dual CPU machines. Before actually actual dual cores were around, it can be pretty tricky to get to work. Screen back in its place for now. Got it mounted on an arm, but for the stream with the top-down camera it's easier to just disconnect it and put it up here. So you saw the case before. The case, most AT cases, so not ATX but AT, actually came with removable motherboard back plates, which is very nice. We just need to figure out the proper orientation for the motherboard and the case and the back plate. This one went in again. It's like this, okay. So the motherboard should be put on just like that. Let's move the case aside. See if all the standoffs are in place. That one is, those ones are. Am I missing any? Doesn't look like it. Let's grab that big box of screws. Get about to fixing this unit in place. And pray to the retro gods, the machine still works when we put it into the case. They have been kind to us so far. Pretty curious to see how far we actually get this stream, because, well, I do have to work tomorrow. But we'll see about that. Let's put it in place. See if we can excuse the noise. I should have those screws lying around somewhere. Too much mess on my desk already. Are these the ones? Feels like it, but no, these aren't. I think they're just, we just need the standard case screws, which are these units. There isn't much more we could have done before putting the motherboard in, because most of it is cable related and you don't want to do that before you put the motherboard in its place. There wasn't much room for cable management in cases back in these days. We should have a mounted motherboard. As you can see, it's a rather small motherboard for the case, and well, there's no real I/O shield for motherboards because they only came with a single keyboard connector. All the other ports will have to connect through breakout connectors. What are they called? There's parallel and serial ports. Which go right into those connectors over there. Only it could do with another serial port. I think this one actually has a PS2 mouse port. as well. Let's go grab the manual again real quick. Serial 1, serial 2, PS2, yeah. Well, we should be able to mount these, but let's figure out all these connectors first. We knew the power LED went in there and it was actually working. This one also has a power switch and a reset switch option, but which is funny because it doesn't come with an actual reset button. So that might actually be, well, I don't know how they want to connect that one. Let's see, we have J25A is the reset switch, which we don't need because it's only available in ATX cases. We have J25B, the soft off power supply, which we won't need because it's also only in ATX cases and power supplies. We have the turbo LED, which we can hook up, but I don't think it will do much. But we'll connect it anyway. It should be the 5th and 6th from the bottom. No. This is already getting hard to see. At the bottom there's the reset switch, power, turbo LED and the IDE interface LED. So it should be the hard drive LED, right? Yeah. See, you get a look at my grandiose hairdo. Enjoy. And the other side should be the power LEDs, the speaker. That's it. Yeah, that's it. So after the power switch and reset switch, which are actually left over, but that's okay. We won't be using them anyway. Next up, I think we want to get the power supply in place, which is this big friendo, and we actually have a power supply bracket for it. It should go right on, if I do it the right way around at least. And we should be able to mount it from the outside because of this bracket. I see something I have overlooked right now. It's actually making more noise than I hoped. We have the power switch we'll need to attach. Let's see if this works. Yeah, this works. So let's attach the power supply to the bracket first. Let me do that real quick off screen so I don't have to move the entire case. I guess screwing things in is not really interesting stream content. I hope most of this is actually interesting stream content, but I find it interesting, but that's enough for me. If you like it, you're welcome to stick around. If you don't, well, no hard feelings. Everybody's time is precious, I know that, so do what you like most in the time you have. Yeah, this should go the other way around, like that. Man, this is making a lot of noise. Still hoping I don't wake the babies. Well, babies. One of them is 2 and the other one is 5, but that's the power supply. But as I said, I overlooked something, which is the actual power button, because the system already has a power button in place, which is right over there. I don't think I can reach it from here, so that's going to be an interesting, and I don't think I can actually screw it off from here, so I'll need to remove the entire front panel, which I am not going to do right now. So we'll leave the power button hanging out for now, which is, well, yeah, something I'll figure out later, maybe off stream, maybe in another stream. I don't think that'll make really interesting content for now. Right, that's that. Let's see about getting these cards in. We have our ET6000. I'll need to make sure to leave room for... You know what, let's start from the bottom. Let's start with the Sound Blaster. Sound Blaster Pro 2.0 ISA card. Should go. Let's just put it in the bottom ISA slot. There we go. Really hope I get to install DOS at least. We'll see about that. I'll put in the Voodoo2 card, which, well, as you can see, can't be in that slot. So let's use the top slot for that one and hope the ET6000 actually fits in one of the lower slots. Yeah, it does barely, but that's enough for me. Stuff like this you tend to overlook when planning a build, or at least I tend to overlook when planning a build. Let's be honest here. Probably not. There's probably more organized people around. Let's give the cards some room so they can breathe a little bit. Let's see what else I have to fix. This breakout card with a parallel and serial port, and this one with a USB and serial. And I should forget, I also need to mount this compact flash adapter. think I'll mount this one in between the... No, that's not... Okay. No, we'll move the Sang one up, because... And I hope I have room enough for that. This one actually needs to fit an IDE connector, which comes out of the bottom. And if I put it in between, I don't think I have room enough for that one. I'm trying to think ahead. Sometimes it works. A lot of times it doesn't. Let's go fix these cables first. Luckily, a lot of these things have actually very clear number and pattern of pins. As you can see here on the bottom, those two are closed, so this can only go in one way. And there's only one connector on which this fits, which is that one right over there. Let's hook up these things. Well, this is more interesting, but these things are slotted, so this can only go in one direction. Let's hook you up first as well. Good thing to work out for yourself is always work from one direction when you build a system, so you always have room in the other direction. Guess I banged the camera there. Excuse me for that. Before we go any further, I think I want to mount the floppy and the IDE cables, so while I can still reach them. Let's see where I put those things. There's some over here. Floppy cable, one IDE cable. We'll need another IDE, because I don't think the one cable will reach both the DVD and the compact flash adapter. Floppy cable fits the floppy, because that's also always a very interesting thing to check out. And I don't think this is actually a normal floppy adapter, so I might need to source another one. As you can see, there's all these things, these weird connectors. Oh, let me put it in the camera so you can actually see. It's these weird connectors. This is a normal floppy connector. These ones, well, we'll have to see. Let's see if it fits the floppy drive, so that's good. One more thing I just figured out, I need to check. Yeah, this power supply isn't going to cut it, because unless I can figure out another way to power the thing. We only have one floppy drive power connector, and the compact flash adapter also needs a floppy drive adapter. I should have another one somewhere, but I'll need to figure out where I put it. because that one, I found it. No, that's not the one. That's a SD card adapter, which could also work, but I should have another one of these somewhere. Which should have just a normal Molex connector actually. Even better, I found a Molex to floppy drive adapter. So that problem is solved, more or less. So I have one floppy cable, two IDE cables. One of them should be relatively long, and the order in which I mount these shouldn't really matter. Let's see if this one can actually reach. It should be fine. Working just fine. That's the other one already for the CD-ROM drive. And this is where big hands become an issue. Finally, the floppy adapter, or the floppy cable actually. So, a lot of cables. Let's see, I will need at least one Molex for the CD-ROM drive and a floppy adapter for the actual floppy drive, so that leaves two Molex adapters free, which is fine. So I will be using one for the extension slash splitter. Gonna hook this one up. Put you in your place. Starting to get a bit crowded in there. Should be fine. These systems didn't generate nearly as much heat as the newer ones. Let's put this thing upright and insert the floppy and CD-ROM drive. Get the floppy power out and the floppy cable out at first, so I can connect them before putting them in. I I have not tested this floppy drive, so we need to see if it actually works. For this we need some smaller screws, and I'm not sure where I put those. They are in here. Should be these ones. I can really do without all the screwing. Screwing around on stream. Doesn't that sound like fun? See, I've actually managed to pick up some new viewers, but some new followers. I don't have any alerts. So excuse me for not noticing that. We're actually at a grand total of 41 followers right now. This stream is going places. That's the floppy drive hooked up. Let's do the CD-ROM drive now. If I can remember where I put it. Yeah, there it is. Something I'll eventually need to figure out is, back in these days when you used a Sound Blaster card and you wanted to listen to CD audio, these cards had a special connector for the CD audio, which you needed to connect to the CD-ROM drive. I don't have any of those connectors handy. I should have one somewhere, but I'm not going to look for it right now. IDE cable. Before we do this, let's unhook it and see what the settings are, because with these cables you always needed to make sure with IDE that a drive was either a master or a slave on the cable. And you could put it on cable select, or you could manually set the jumper for it. This one is a jumper for master, which is fine because there isn't any other device on this cable. We put the compact flash adapter on the other cable. This means we're pretty much done with putting the system together. And then we'll see if things still run. Screw is being a little stubborn. Could really use a bit smaller magnetic screwdriver, but well, amateurs, right? leave the side panels off right now. But let's take a little look at the front end of this machine. There we go. Bit of a big gap there, but that's okay. We've got a floppy drive, we've got a CD drive, and in the back we've got everything filled up nicely. There's one thing I really need to check out. All is fine so far, Strider. I just managed to put everything in, so we'll see about running it. One thing I need to check is if there's a jumper on the compact flash adapter, because I think we'll need to set it to master at least. Welcome back, by the way. Yeah, there's jumpers on there, and there's actually a jumper description silk screened. Jumper 1 is power source. One, two external, yeah. Jumper 2 is supply voltage. Should be fine. And mode select 1, 2 is master. All should be good. Going to take a quick sip and then we'll go for the big moment of truth. Let's hook everything back up. Let's put this thing a bit to the side so we can put the screen next to it and the keyboard. Clean up my tools a little bit. Let's see if we didn't break the machine. Let's put in the compact flash card into the adapter. So we actually have something to install STOS on. Oh. If it actually fits, that will be nice. Sounded like it fit. I actually forgot to check out the power button situation in the case, so I have a loose hanging power button right now. But well, we all occasionally have loose hanging parts, right? Oh, shut up, Raz. At first I'll just hook the screen up to the VGA card, the Labs, and after that, when we've got stuff working, I will see about getting the Voodoo2 working. So let's give the beast some power and see what happens. Fingers crossed. Here we go. Well, it still boots, which is a good thing. It found the compact flash card, it found the CD-ROM. Everything seems to be detected, which is good. Let's restart quickly and get into the BIOS. so we can check out some settings and detection. Everything should be on auto, that's fine. Shall we change the date to something more it's what? November 27th? 30th already, okay. And over here it's actually 2343. Floppy drive seems to be detected. Okay. Well, boot sequence is fine, I think, but I don't want it to boot from SCSI. I want it to boot from AC. Why can't I choose AC CD-ROM? Well, fine. Let's do it like this anyway. This should all be fine. I'm not going to fiddle with this right now. Let's insert the DOS boot disk, see if the floppy drive works. Let's see if we can get a little DOS installation running. That looks like it's detecting the floppy drive. Can you hear that? Proper floppy drive action. Let's see if I remember all these commands. It's Soyo SY. Do we have a C drive? No, we don't. So we'll need to figure that out. We needed to use F disk to actually create partitions. Let's create a primary MS-DOS partition. No space to create the DOS partition. Wait, what? Standard? New. Okay, it might not actually be detecting the compact flash card. It did detect something, but do we need to actually... No, I don't have a C drive, so it won't be able to... Is there a DOS command to see what drives are actually there? This part could be a thing. Or do we have anything? Let's see what have we got. We've got check disk, F disk, we've got scan disk. Let's see if MS-DOS setup just wants to help us create a partition. Okay. It is at least detecting the adapter, but I'm not sure if it's actually detecting the compact flash card. Yeah, you told me to reboot. Oh, there we go. We apparently have a drive C now. Well, I'm not actually in the United States, so we just... Well, most of you know where I am anyway, so... That's okay. My keyboard layout is correct. Let's go. Yeah, that would be the wisest place to put my MS-DOS files. Let's hope it's not disk 4 that's broken. And after this the real fun starts. Building the config sys. And now the exec.bat. Especially for some games you needed to figure out very specific settings for those config files. But hey, I'm happy we have a working system. So far everything seems to be working, which is well, apart from the two processors, but that's okay. Nice. I'll just stay with the classics, Strider. Where was the floppy drive? There we go. And for those of you that think these are 3D printed save symbols, we actually used these back in the day to copy files. They could store a grand total of 1.44 megabytes. So there were games which had like 10, 12 floppy disks. This is just a waiting game. I really like to test out the Voodoo card, but that's something for another stream, I'm afraid. For those of you that don't know, the Voodoo cards were add-on graphics cards actually. You had to have at least for the Voodoo 1 and 2 a normal 2D video card, and you could loop the VJ signal through the Voodoo card, and it would render the 3D games, if any. So you actually had to have, like this system, two video cards in your system. And it provided a very specific look to several games, and I hope I get to show you that in another stream. It used the 3DFX Glide library, graphics library, which provided a very early form of anti-aliasing, making the picture very smooth. Well, this is hard on touch. Let me look one thing up real quick. Because I should have... I've got a lot of video cards lying around. There's I also have this beast. This is a Voodoo2 3000, which was the first 3DFX attempt at a single video card, not an add-on. Now I'm going to install a 98 Strider, not 95. I don't want the hassle of the 95 installation on stream. '98 should run just fine on this system. I wonder what the fourth disk is for now. Should have a disk with tools. The mouse driver and probably a CD-ROM driver somewhere. I think I'll save that for a later stream. It's just about midnight. Let's see if DOS actually boots, and then we'll call it a day for today. Well, this is not looking really promising. Let's give it a second, but it feels like too long already. Let's give it a quick restart for now. Shouldn't be stuck in here, but maybe it has some trouble with the hard drive actually. So as you can see, it detects an 8 gig hard drive on the primary master, but I don't think MS-DOS supports 8 gig drives. I might have to do something with that. Let's see if it will boot from the DOS disk now. Yeah, that it does. Let's try and fix that at least. Does find the C drive. As you can see, it only gives us a 2 GB partition, which is more than enough for an MS-DOS drive. I don't think I should just run it from C. It is a FAT16, which is fine. 2000 megabytes. I don't think I can actually change it right here. Let's try one more time. Booting it. Maybe it just takes a little to initialize. And if it doesn't work, that's going to be a problem for a different stream. Or off stream, maybe even. Let's wait for a bit here. Well, let's call it a day for now and see if I can figure it out some other time. Thank you very much for watching. I really enjoyed doing this on stream. I enjoy doing this, and I hope you enjoy listening to me doing this and trying to give some information about the stuff that I'm doing, the parts that I'm using, and the system that I'm building. Thanks again for being here. I hope I will be back on next week, because we're far from done with this system, and after that there's more systems to come. So thanks Raz, thanks Strider, thanks RT, and I'll see you see you soon, hopefully. I don't really have an exit screen. I don't really have a... I don't even know how to send you guys out on a raid, so I'll save that for the next time. Okay, you guys go find yourself something to watch, and I'll see you again next time. Ciao.